Is this you? You try to build a habit, but you always stop after day 1, 2, or 3. It's always a cycle of you get motivated by a video online, you try to build a habit, you stop, you shame yourself, and then you get motivated again, and so you try again, but somehow nothing ever changes. My name's Ashley Pierre. I'm the author of the book Habit Theory, and my full-time job is helping women reinvent themselves from the ground up. And almost every single woman that I work with comes to me with the exact same problem. They don't need another motivational video or perfect morning routine. They need to understand why their habits keep breaking. And after seeing this same exact pattern in so many different women, I've realized something that nobody ever talks about. Most people don't struggle with habits because they're lazy. They struggle because they don't understand how habits actually work. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 3 brutal truths why you struggle with sticking to habits. These aren't things that other people have talked about. These truths will completely change the way that you build habits. A lot of people, the way that they build habits is that they see a YouTube video or TikTok where somebody's like, you need to start building this, cold shower habit or this meditation or journaling habit. And so you try to build that habit. But what happens? You stick to it for 1 to 3 days and then you quit. That's because when people start building habits, they start with the habit in mind. But this is actually backwards. What you want to do is start with the vision in mind. So one thing that I do with my clients is that we first define their vision. Your vision is made up of your dream self. So this is the traits that you embody. For example, let's just say one trait of your dream self is that you are outgoing. So you can approach anybody in any social situation, strike up a conversation, because maybe right now you're kind of, socially anxious, insecure. You wait for people to talk to you. So that's a trait of your dream self. Basically, we define a trait and then actually describe what that trait actually looks like so we can get crystal clear on your dream self. So that's the first part of your vision. The second part is your actual dream life. So what does your actual dream day-to-day look like? What time do you wake up? What job do you have? What do you do during the day? So again, our vision is made up of our dream self and our dream life. Now that we have our vision, then we turn that vision into these specific habits that we need to build. Because the truth is, your life is built in the actions that you do every single day. And your actions that you do every day are your habits. So your habits build your life. So instead of starting with this random habit somebody online said is really important, instead we actually start with our vision first and we break that down into the habits that we need to build. And this is going to be a whole bunch of different habits. We're going to call this our habit backlog. So we take our vision and we turn that into a habit backlog. Now you're building habits not because somebody else said that they're important, but because they're tied to actually building your dream life, building your vision. By the way, if you're interested in joining my reinvention program, where I work with women one-to-one and help them reinvent themselves and their lives using the reinvention method and habit theory, you can book a free one-to-one call with me below. The second reason why building habits may be really hard for you is because you start habits out at the version that looks impressive versus starting them out at the version that your current life and your system capacity can actually understand. So system capacity is a term, an idea that I talk about in my book, Habit Theory. Basically, I'm not going to get too much into it, but basically a lot of people, when they don't do a habit, they beat themselves up because they think it's just that they're not trying hard enough. But the reality is that if you don't stick to a habit, it's probably because that habit is not within your current system capacity. So system capacity isn't just based on the amount of willpower that you have, it's based on a whole bunch of other different factors, like your energy level, your skill for doing the habit, your environment design. So that's a whole entire other video. But basically, you want to start out habits at their minimum viable level. A habit is built through phases. And most people are starting at phase 5 when they should be starting at phase 1. So for example, one of my clients, she came to me, we built out her vision and her habit backlog, and one of the main parts of her vision was that she was a lower weight. So basically, she wanted to lose 100 pounds. So when losing this 100 pounds, we're going to, build habits and systems to actually accomplish that goal. So what do you think the habit is that we were installing the first week when we were working together? Do you think it was, cutting down her calories a lot? No. The first habit that we were actually installing is tracking her calories, and not even tracking every single food that she's eating, tracking one food per day. All she had to do was track how many calories was in her breakfast. And not only that, but we added some accountability. I would send her a text at 12 p.m. every single day, asking her to send me a screenshot of her tracking, those calories in the calorie tracking app. So when you hear this, you might be like, okay, all she had to do that week was just track her breakfast once a day. That doesn't really seem like a lot. But This is so important to understand. A habit can either fall on the spectrum of power or force. So force means that you're doing the habit and it's outside of your current system capacity. Doing a habit in power means it's inside of your current system capacity. The number one reason why people don't stick to habits is because they build habits outside of their system capacity. They're building habits with force instead of power. So the easiest way to understand if a habit that you're trying to build is in power or force is ask yourself, do I think that I can stick to this habit for the next 7 days? Let's just say the habit of brushing your teeth in the morning. If I asked you, do you think that you can brush your teeth in the morning every single day for the next 7 days? Now, if you answer, well, yeah, I can definitely do that, that means that that habit is in the spectrum of power. Now, if you are like, maybe, then that means it's kind of in the middle. And if you're like, I honestly don't know, that means it's in force. So your brain is building a prediction of whether you're going to be able to do that, and that prediction is based on data. It uses data of you doing that habit in the past. So for example, let's just say that you don't really brush your teeth that much, maybe out of the past 30 days, you only brush your teeth, 10 times out of the past 30 days. Then you're going to be more likely to say, I don't know, because your brain made a prediction. It looked at the past data, which is the proof, seeing that you're not very consistent with it, so it is less likely to believe that you're able to stick to that habit. Versus if you brush your teeth 30 days out of the past 30 days, your brain uses that as proof, as data, to make the prediction, well, yeah, I can. So when I am building habits with my clients, we look at the actual habit that we want, so tracking all of our calories, and then we break it down into the first phase, which is the minimum viable habit. I asked my client, do you think that you can track breakfast, just breakfast, for the next 7 days? Do you think that this falls in the realm of power or force for you? She said, I think I can. And that's power, right? So we started a habit at that level. A lot of people, when they're trying to build habits, they'll start at phase 5. So it's like they try to track all of their calories, and then they quit on day 2 because it's too much. They're not used to it. They have no systems, and so they stop. So when you're building habits, always ask yourself, do I think that I can stick to this habit for the next 7 days? If the answer is a no, then we want to decrease the difficulty of that habit. Now, how do you know when to increase the phases? I have a whole entire, method for tracking your habits. So, if you're interested, you can read my book, Habit Theory, or just apply for the Reinvention program. And finally, the third brutal truth. You might have heard this before, but nobody has really explained why this is so important. And if you do this wrong, you are making it so much harder for you to build habits. Is that you have no clear cue. So basically, this is a time and place for doing the habits. So one of my clients, we defined her vision, and one of the habits to build, her vision was having a journaling habit. So she's able to track her patterns. And so she had tried to build a journaling habit in the past, but when she tried to build it in the past, it was always like, I'm just going to journal, randomly throughout the day. This is a surefire way to make the habit way harder, because if you're just going to journal randomly like once throughout the day, you're increasing the amount of negotiation that can creep in when trying to do this habit. To make habits way easier, all you have to do is define a cue. So either a time or a place. So for example, right, with the example that I gave before with one of my clients, the cue was after breakfast, the first thing that she does is she tracks her calories, right? So there's a specific time and place. It doesn't even have to be 12 p.m., but it can be after you do an event that you do every single day, right? So with my client, for journaling, we defined after she brushes her teeth, she journals. This makes building a habit so much easier because now your body can get into this rhythm of doing the habit. Do you have things that you like kind of unconsciously do throughout the day? I mean, for a lot of people, it's like when you wake up, it might be just going on your phone, or when you wake up, you use the restroom. Defining a cue for your habits makes it a lot easier to get in the rhythm of doing them unconsciously. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're interested in joining the Reinvention program, you can book your free one-to-one call with me below. I'll just ask you some questions and see if you're a good fit. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.